Hello everyone, my name's the Deuteron Doctor. Today I wanted to talk about Genji. Specifically, how Genji has been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed over the years, why he keeps getting nerfed, and why they won't buff him. This is something I've been thinking about for quite a long time now, and I wanted to discuss it because, well, now seems like a good time to bring it up. Especially because I'm working on another video that kind of relates to it, but not really. It's more of a weird connection that I think of that probably nobody else will. But point is, I wanted to talk about Genji. First of all, the first thing I'd like to bring up is the fact that Genji has been in the game for a very long time. Obviously, he's one of the original Overwatch characters. And he was really good in Overwatch. Early Overwatch. Everyone can see that from the classic game mode. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why. I'm saying it because they nerfed Genji. And I'll get into that. But point is, Genji was very good at the start. Now, I never played Overwatch 1, so I couldn't tell you what his nerfs were. And to be frank, I'm far too lazy to actually pull them up because it doesn't really relate to what I'm trying to say other than in a just pulling up evidence standpoint. Everyone knows Genji has been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. Over time, this creates a skill discrepancy between the amount of skill you need to win and the amount of skill the other players have. By being worse, you need more skill to win games. That makes the skill discrepancy between you and your opponents much higher if you're actually going to win. Now, does that mean you're a Masters player when you're in gold? Technically. Technically, it does. I'm talking about skill discrepancies that sound small but are big. So, like the skill discrepancy between a Plat 5 and a Plat 1. Now, obviously, yes, it can be a skill discrepancy between like Diamond and like Grandmaster. But to be frank, the gaps don't start getting that wide for really high up the ladder anyway. But the gap is still the same size. It's just as you get higher up, people are all at a higher skill level, so you need to be even higher up to actually make up for that. But point is, if you are a gold 3 Genji player, that means, and albeit it is just theory, but I believe it's true. If you are a gold 3 Genji player, that means that you have to play at a gold 1 or Plat 5 level to be able to beat the enemy team that is also gold 3. Now, do I mean you are a Plat player? No, you're in gold, obviously. But what I'm saying is you need to play at such a large amount higher than the enemy team to actually be able to win with your character. Now, what does this do to a community of players that has been playing this hero for a very, very long time? They know all the tricks, they know all the techs, all of that. What does that do to the character? That means the character has been practiced to such a high degree that now the character is still able to get value in those lobbies, even if they're bad. Now, you could be saying, well, Genji gets rolled. He does. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I think the reason they aren't buffing him is because the community of Genji players has gotten so good at Genji with his limited tool set that he has right now that buffing him would just fuck it all up. And I understand that Genji is a skillful character. Don't get me wrong. But Genji can be fucking annoying. I don't mind having Genjis in my games. I play with a Genji player. I mean, like, come on. They're some of the chillest people around. But problem is, if the whole Genji player base plays at 2 or 3 ranks higher than the enemy team to actually be able to win, just buffing Genji would make them shoot up in rank like a ton. And that would make them roll lobbies. And nobody wants to deal with hundreds of thousands of Genjis rolling lobbies over and over and over. Now, does that make you want to say, oh, well, if they're playing at a Plat 5 level when they're Gold 3, they should be in Plat 5? Well, yes. But, you know, most coaches and most content creators that I've seen say if you're in that rank, it means you're in that rank for a reason. I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think some... Oh, I just muted myself on Discord. Ignore that. I think some people, some characters, need significantly more skill to actually be able to get value with and win than others. Is junk easier to get value with in low lobbies? Abso-fucking-lutely. Genji is not easy to get value with in low lobbies. But is Genji easy to get value with in high lobbies? No, but not as hard as Junkrat. Do you see what I mean? It changes from rank to rank. The amount of skill a certain character takes to get through one rank pool compared to another rank pool can be wildly different depending on the rank, how each of those players play in the rank, the balancing of the characters, and the character just distribution and the meta at the time. Sometimes it feels like it's an absolute fucking pain to play Brig. Notably, early Overwatch, I had a really hard time playing Brig. It was very difficult. Now, I also sucked, like, a lot. I sucked ass, don't get me wrong. But it was hard to get value comparatively to a junk for when I was bad that got pretty much free value from anything he would do. So, yes, while I do think Genji deserves buffs, I understand why the devs aren't buffing him. Because if you buff him, it throws off the balancing that is in the game right now. Which, yes, the balancing in the game isn't the greatest thing on earth. But to most of the player base, it would feel 10 times worse if every time you went up against a Genji, he felt like he was overtuned. Because we've had him so low power for so long. Does that mean that Genjis deserve to have a low-powered character? No, absolutely not. I don't believe that at all. I think Genji players should be able to play their character and have fun and not get, absolutely railed by pretty much anything that comes their way. But you have to think of it from the devs' perspective. I know that everyone likes to trash on the devs and call them lazy buttholes, but genuinely, what is the decision? Put yourself in their shoes. What decision would you make? Would you throw 90% of the player base into the pits of Genji hell by buffing Genji? Or would you keep the status quo? Maybe slowly bring him back up. Very slowly. So that it doesn't disrupt anything. Now, granted, they could slowly bring him back up. But I understand why they're keeping him where he is. The skill discrepancy between Genji players and normal players, average heroes, think Ashe, Soldier, they kind of, if you play at that level, you're going to stay that rank. The discrepancy of skill is so high now I think it's the highest in the game. But the discrepancy is so high now that balancing Genji correctly would now be bad for the game because they've left it for so long. Now, is it their fault? Absolutely, it is their fault. But you got to remember, this is the team that got 1.5 million layoffs. This is the team that got their pretty much whole team replaced from the change from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. They got their leadership replaced. I mean, they've gone through a lot. It's not like all of them have been there for years and years and years. Most of the people that have been there for years have been long gone for years and years. There's a lot of new, fresh people on the team. You have to let them gather the bearings. They are not going to learn their lessons from the past mistakes. Not only because the past is 6v6, the past is Overwatch 1, the past is Jeff Kaplan. That team does not exist anymore. The Team 4 that existed when Overwatch was not play of the game. I'm stupid. When Overwatch was game of the year, that team does not exist. Might be stragglers, might be people that were in the original team that are still there, like Aaron Keller, but let's be honest here, one person, even if they're high up, isn't going to change the fate of the game. It's not going to change the balancing of the game. You have to let everyone learn their lessons and how the game functions and how the game is balanced in order for them to get it. You can't just be like, oh, well, they did this earlier, so they shouldn't do it again. Yes, in theory, but that team doesn't exist anymore. So, overall, I think, yes, does Genji need buffed? Absolutely. I think it's absolutely criminal that I can pretty much deny Genji any value just by being Brig, my main. But do I understand why the devs keep Genji where he is? Absolutely. There's no reason to buff Genji if buffing Genji would ruin any sort of skill distribution that is there. I'll talk about this kind of theory again in the next video, which I'll be talking about hit scans. And I have some pretty spicy hot takes about hit scans, but I'll get into that in the next video. Anyways, my name is the Dude Around Doctor, and I'll see you later. Bye.